Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us live in this LinkedIn live broadcast. Today, we're talking about a very interesting topic that I'm personally super interested in. It's about earning trust on LinkedIn and doing it intelligently. So doing it, in a way that works for your time. It works for your personality. It works for your particular brand to build that audience and awareness of what you stand for and for your values. I am joined today by Vinnie Romano, and I'll give Vinnie a chance to introduce himself and say hello to everyone. I'm Christina.Charenkova, and I'm so thrilled that you're here with us. If you haven't come across me before, I am a change management consultant and a business transformation expert. I also do change management coaching, and I'm a LinkedIn Learning author. I've got a number of courses on the LinkedIn Learning platform that go around change management and business transformation. And that is where I really thrive when we talk about change, when we talk about how we transform, and not necessarily just in the organizational side, but how do we transform as individuals? Because a lot of that transformation, when we talk about a bigger transformation, we talk about us as individuals as well. How do we grow, and how do we build our skill set to be a better leader, to be a better influencer? Without further ado, let me introduce Vinnie. Vinnie, would you like to say a few words and talk a little bit about the type of work that you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Vinnie. Drop us a comment into the live chat. I want to see who's here and say hello to some of you. I noticed that a handful of people from my network have registered their attendance. So it'd be good to know who's here.
Fantastic. Yep.
For those that don't know me and that didn't see my recent post on LinkedIn on Wednesday, I have been building a tool in the background for the last 2.5 years called MySocial.ai. And we launched officially end of November last year. We've seen significant traction, and we've gotten to a place where it can now sustain me to go full time. So a side hustle turning into a full-time gig. Hey, David. Hey, Tim. Good to see you. So that's where I'm at currently. You and I came across each other, Christina, through Suncoast Angels. Is that right?
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
through some angel investing.
Yeah. And you very kindly invited me onto your cast.
Yeah, I thought it was extremely interesting. Obviously, we've heard a lot about AI and what AI can do, and it's been in the papers. Everyone's building new tools. Of course, I think of it.
It's certainly been in the papers. Yeah.
And of course, I think of it from a change perspective. How can AI help us be better change leaders? How can it help us when we're going through change?
Yeah.
And when I read about your tool and what it can do, it certainly sort of propped my antenna. And I thought, well, this is fantastic, because a lot of the time when we are in, our sort of calm and status quo, if you like, roles or positions, we work with our team, we've got our projects, we've got our boss, we're kind of established in where we are, we're pretty happy, things are tagging along.
Yeah.
And then suddenly something happens.
Yeah.
We move to a different project, or our boss suddenly decides to leave, or, we have to go and work with a different team, or God forbid, we have to look for a new job. Or perhaps, that's an opportunity that we'd like to embrace. And then some of that relationship building that we've put in so much effort and attention into for our immediate surrounding, it's kind of almost gone to waste in a way, because a lot of the time we look outside of our immediate surrounding. If I'm changing organizations, for example, not many people in that new organization would know what I stand for, or, what are the types of interests that I have, be it professionally or personally. So I had a look at what you guys were talking about with MySocial.ai and how it can help build that LinkedIn influence and LinkedIn profile in a way that, I guess, one, doesn't take that much time of your working day. Because let's face it, when we're busy, we're going 110 miles an hour. We don't have time to post. Maybe we have 10, 15 minutes in our lunch break to scroll at the posts. And a lot of us like to scroll, but don't like to post. Maybe we don't know what to say. Maybe we're afraid to share a particular article because it may be too edgy. And MySocial kind of takes away all of that worry. It gives you a lot of relevant content that I really like you to dive into, Vinny, and tell us how can the tool really simplify your day and make it easier for you to become the influencer that you want to be.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so there's a couple of things in that. Firstly, you don't need to use MySocial.ai to arrive at the same place.
Yeah.
MySocial.ai is merely a tool that enables and empowers you to do the things that you can do without the tool.
Yeah.
With the tool, you helping assist you to get there. The three pillars, as far as my personal experience, having worked with clients, both, for anywhere from startup to enterprise size business, the three pillars that go into success, that go into the success making of your personal LinkedIn profile or even your company page is consistency, authenticity, and relevance. And those three key pillars,
I love that.
if you stick to those three things with or without the use of a tool, you can win. The mindset has to be there, which is a long-term mindset, a long-term mindset, and also a growth mindset. It's funny, I was actually getting a conversation around growth mindset with someone else on LinkedIn yesterday. But with the tool, we've built the tool to merely help demystify how to get those things, how to enable and empower you to have those things. Because we know that, I think in July there was 950 million active users registered on LinkedIn.
Wow.
What we know is anywhere between 95 to 99% of those people do not actively post on a frequent basis. Now, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And a lot of people say, I just don't have the time.
Yes.
Even if they know it's important. Some people don't see the importance, and that's fine. If you don't see the importance, then that's fine. Some people see LinkedIn as your digital resume or your CV still, and that's fine too. But it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. It's as far as it's a platform that people go to, unlike any other social media platform. It's a platform that people arrive at with an intent-driven mindset. People arrive on LinkedIn to either consume or contribute to the wider body of public knowledge. Unlike any other social media platform, right? We're not going to LinkedIn. We're not arriving at LinkedIn to reconnect with our family necessarily or watch videos of cats and dogs, right?
Yeah.
We're not going there to be sold to either, but the mindset of how you arrive at LinkedIn is so much more different than the other social media platforms. You don't go to LinkedIn to procrastinate like you do the others. You don't, not like Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so where am I going with this? Where I'm going with this is we talk about people not posting. Why isn't that happening? I've had all those conversations. People say they don't have the time. But ultimately, when you really dig into it, it falls under four things for us. They either don't know what to say, how to say it, when to say it, or why.
And I think that just says
Fear
a
of
lot.
being ridiculed. There's a fear of being ridiculed by their
Yes.
peers, their customers, by their shareholders, stakeholders, investors, right? And so what MySocial.ai has been designed to do is to help you answer what to say, when to say it, how to say it, and why.
Yeah.
Right.
I love what you said earlier. And if we go back a few steps and unpack those 3 pillars, I think it's important to emphasize those for people to understand what falls under each one. So you talked about posting consistently. One of the things I think we as LinkedIn users hear a lot of the time is like, you have to post consistently, you have to post consistently, which is great. But what does that mean? Do we post twice a week? Do we post once a month? Like, what is consistent, and is it consistent depending on your influence and your network, or is it depending on what the algorithm may think that we look like consistent posters? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people say to me, I keep getting told to post on a daily basis. That's what a lot of people say to me, and I say to them, I don't think you need to. I don't think you need to post on a daily basis, but it depends what the goal is. Right?
Yes.
The consistency around your posting is to enable you to put yourself in a position of share of mind within your from your audience.
Yeah.
It's the same as marketing. It's the same as branding. How many touch points? Firstly, how many ads a day are we exposed to as consumers? On average, it's about 10,000 ads a day.
Way too many.
Way too many, right? How many times does it take for a brand to receive an action from a consumer on average?
Yeah.
I believe it's anywhere between 7 to 12 touch points, 7 to 12 times for someone to act on a message that they've seen from someone trying to get you to do something from an advertising and a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
But again, those come from different places of what's the objective. Some people are on LinkedIn to sell. Some people are on LinkedIn following. Some people are on LinkedIn to view, to spectate. The majority are on there to spectate. Myself, I'm on LinkedIn to build a community, build a tribe around me. And I'll use my example because I think it's, be pointless talking about anyone else. I know my objective. I have been every type of job title under the sun you can name: full-time, part-time, consultant, speaker, founder, director,
lecturer,
right? And one thing I can tell you is that none of them have a safety net. None of them have any consistency to you being okay in terms of money keep coming in, right? Whether you're working for someone or if you're working for yourself, right?
Totally.
My safety net, therefore, was okay. Well, where is that? And I lost both my parents a few years ago, and since that happened, my safety net dwindled even further. And when I lost my mother, I turned to myself and sort of asked, well, what do I have? What actually do I have? I boiled it down to 2 things: my knowledge and my network.
Yes.
Those are the 2 things that are going to consistently be my safety net if I can continue to learn and connect with people.
Yeah.
Right. And where am I going with that? Back to your consistency question. For me, my objective is to learn and consistently connect with people so that I can maintain a safety net.
Yeah.
Right. If shit were to ever hit the fan, sorry, it's 9:15 in the morning and I'm already swearing. But my consistency is, I know what times I'm going to post. I pick the days that I'm going to post. It's 3 times a week. And I personally find that through some testing that I don't want to post every day. It's not fun for me, and it's surely not going to be fun for my network. So I post 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I post at the times that I know that I'm going to get maximum share of voice.
Yeah.
And that's what works for me.
Yeah, I think that's right. If we just summarize a little bit for the people that we have online joining us, you kind of need to have a clear strategy of why you're going on LinkedIn. You know, is it to do sales? Is it to connect with customers? Is it to connect with your peers in an organization? Or is it to build that professional sort of network and following? And when you get that, you can start experimenting with, you know, what are the posts that resonate? How many times a week do I need to do it? What are the times that work? Because the beauty of LinkedIn, of course, is that it's a global network. So, you know, sometimes for me, a lot of my following is in the US and in the Middle East and Europe. So sometimes posting in Australian time, no one sees that post. I have to experiment a little bit more. But the beauty of that, I suppose, is that, you know, you need to build that clear perspective of who am I? What is the role that I'm going for? And how do I build my influence on LinkedIn with the role in mind? So I love that, you know, you gave yourself as an example and you were able to unpack it for the people that we have on the line. Now, I keep saying people that we have on the line. This is meant to be an interactive discussion. So please, 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 please drop where you guys are dialing in from, because we'd love to say hello and we'd love to do a few shout outs.
There's Richard Sterling there.
Sorry?
There's Richard Sterling there. Hey, Richard. Hey, Jason.
Excellent.
Leon.
Fantastic. Thank you guys for joining.
David, you can steal that, mate. Yeah, you don't go to LinkedIn to procrastinate. Of course you can. Just give me 10% of all the sales you make.
Now, if you have any questions for either Vinnie or myself, please drop those in the chat, and we will answer them. Now, if we're running out of time, which at the moment we have plenty of time, but if we happen to run out of time, we'll make sure we answer it either via the comments, or if you connect with us directly on LinkedIn, we'll be able to give you guys some tips and tricks, whether it comes to change, whether it comes to LinkedIn or change in LinkedIn, linked together. Now, going back to building that change resilience and how do we make it for the long run, you know, rather than kind of looking in our very immediate surroundings or very immediate timeline, how do we build that for the long run? And we talked about the 3 pillars. We talked about, you know, posting consistently, building a clear strategy of first of all, building a clear strategy of who do we want to be on LinkedIn? What is the role that we want to play? And then embracing that role, posting consistently, posting authentic content, and posting the 3rd pillar. Vinnie, remind me, what is that? With relevance. So how do we know that we are relevant?
How do we know that we're relevant? Sure. So there's a couple of ways you can look at this, in my opinion. Relevance can be validated by the engagement that you receive from the content that you create. Because I think that that's a clear indicator that you are being relevant. You are talking with relevance, but then it comes back to, well, who's your audience? And are you creating something that's relevant to your audience that you want to engage with? So, for example, last week, every Monday I share a funny meme that's got to do with marketing. So right there, it's a relevant thing to me because I'm a marketer. Yeah. So I try and share a funny meme. I do. I share a funny meme every Monday to do with marketing, and it's not a long post. It's just a funny meme, right? Yeah. And it was the one where I believe it's an Indian person who has riding the coattails of the name ChatGPT and created a tea stall called Chai GPT, a tea and coffee stall
I've
called
seen
Chai
that.
GPT,
Yeah.
right? And that post went absolutely viral.
Yeah.
That is a good indicator that I have shared something that is relevant in today's society within a platform that it is relevant to talk about.
Yeah.
But was it specific to a specific industry, job title? No. But then you could say that that's because everyone in the world has heard about ChatGPT, everyone in the business.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas if you share something a little bit more niche, let's say account-based marketing strategies and how it intersects with social selling, not everyone in my network is going to find that relevant. So it really does depend who you're trying to talk to. So I don't know if that answers your question around.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. So it's kind of understanding your audience. And I think we all need to take a step back and understand who our audience is. And going back to, the strategy again, once you define the role that you want to play, understand who your audience is, and then understand the ways that you want to talk to them. So whether that's, on a Monday or on a Friday, I post a funny meme because I know that's going to cheer up people, and it's not going to be as targeted to a particular job title. But then again, it's maybe an engagement for a wider community, and that's fine. It's kind of like something that is front of mind. So ChatGPT is on everyone's front of mind at the moment, I think, because it's going to change part of our jobs for sure. And what do we do on daily basis? And I think it's also a lot of the times we can spend in analysis paralysis. What are the exact job titles? What do they need to know? How many times do I need to post to these exact job titles? And sometimes it's great to have that. But then I think that prompts us to not actually do anything. So we feel, okay, it's too much. I don't know what to say to these exact people. So
But there's something I want you to remember here, right, Christina, is that when you're posting from your personal profile on LinkedIn, you don't have the capability to target you don't have the capability to target specific people when you post. Unless you are doing it from your company page or doing it through Campaign Manager on LinkedIn, and there's a media spend behind it, and you can get quite specific as to who you're trying to get your message in front of. When you're posting on your personal profile, you don't have that capability. Unless LinkedIn have just released a new service called Thought Leader Ads, which is actually in Campaign Manager. You target who you want to talk to, but the message rather than from your company page actually comes from a supplied personal page. That's cool, like that, but it doesn't reach the network within that personal page's network, right? It's done like an. So there's point one, which is if you're posting, post for your audience that you want to talk to. But if you want to the way to get super specific, if you want to talk niche topics, is that from an organic perspective, the way to do that is to leave comments on other people in that topic.
Right. Okay.
In that subject matter where they're creating content. So if I want to talk to someone about, the implications of deep tech, for example, I would do a search on those subject matter experts, thought leaders, or people who are actively talking about these topics and reading their content, and then leaving thoughtful, value-adding content on their posts, because the conversation's already there. Now, that doesn't mean to say you can't do the same when you're posting to try and generate conversations. But actually, one of the best ways to generate conversations is going and interacting with other people's content, because the conversations are already there. Does that make sense? And you're talking to people who are already creating the content, right?
Huge. Yeah. I think that is huge, actually. Because I suppose the value of the platform is to create engagement and to create conversation. So even if we post an article, it's not only about posting the content, right? It's about engaging with the audience. And if we engage with people that have posted stuff in the same thought field, we are already getting our names in front of some of the network that we want to be engaged with.
And my hours just left a point there around hashtags. So yeah, hashtags, using the use of hashtags on LinkedIn. Personally, I don't use them. I don't see much use of them. I haven't been convinced. From what I understand, hashtags were being used much more a few years ago. Then the whole hashtag conundrum on LinkedIn kind of slowed down. I stopped using them from that point on. Now, what I understand to be the case is that LinkedIn is making, with or without your hashtag use in your posts, is trying to make your content a lot more prevalent and visible for the people that it can see that it might be relevant for within your followership. Right. So there are things that LinkedIn are doing in the background, but to be super specific as to if you want to have conversations and generate conversations, the best way, as far as I'm concerned, is to go and leave those thoughtful comments on people that are already creating content. That's not to say that you should stop creating content altogether and just focus on leaving value-adding content. The reason why you create content is to build an authority on the topic, so that when you do leave a comment on someone's post, that when they arrive on your profile, because if you leave a comment, they're more likely to go and visit your profile, whether you're connected to them or not. And if they arrive at a profile with no picture, no headline, no bio, no experience, and zero posts, how much time do you think that person's going to have for you, and how much of a chance do you think that person's actually going to respond back to your comment, right? I'm not saying that that's the exact way that it's always going to happen, but just to give you a for instance.
Yeah, that's great. And it kind of dives into this question that we have from Rena. What are the things to avoid while building your personal brand? I think you touched on a few. So have a profile photo, have a good background photo, have some sort of, a one-liner or a really good paragraph that talks about what you stand for, what your values are. Vinnie, anything else that comes from you?
Well, yeah, I mean, your personal brand, Jeff Bezos from Amazon said it best, right? A personal brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room, right? So whether you like it or not, you have a personal brand. It's not you don't have one or you do have one. Everyone has one. It just depends on what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? So the beautiful thing about a LinkedIn profile, especially in a professional setting, whether you're creating content or not, the experience that people get when they view your profile is the story that they tell themselves when they see what it is that they're looking at. So if they arrive at a profile with 2 connections, no profile picture, no headline, no bio, no nothing, it's swipe left, on to the next, depending on what that person's looking for, right?
Yeah.
Are they trying to find you for a potential role? Are they trying to find you to, as a prospect, right? There isn't really much that anyone can do without content. So it depends, what you want, what you want to happen as a result of having a personal brand.
Yeah.
If we go back to my example, which is, I believe my personal brand is very strong because I can provide people with an experience that leaves them feeling a certain way, positive, that this guy knows what he's talking about, that this guy talks about these topics, that this guy is well connected, all of those things. What to avoid when building a personal brand, though, is trying to build a personal brand without knowing what you're building the personal brand for. If you answer that question, everything else should fall into place.
Yeah.
LinkedIn make it very easy to optimize your profile. Everything's modular. You've got the profile picture space. You've got the headline image space. You've got the header image space. You've got the bio space, right?
Yeah.
But
So use all the sections that are provided, but don't just leave one word.
yeah,
Is
correct.
have you come across an example that's completely overboard? Yeah, I think some people can do a bio, but rather than doing a paragraph, do a whole A4 page of 500 words. So
Well,
where is the middle ground from your experience?
Well, the headline and the bio is actually rankable content on Google as well as the content that you create.
Right. Okay.
So if you Google me, for example, and yes, I have Googled myself to test this, but if you Google me, for example, the first thing that comes up is my LinkedIn profile because it's my primary source of content creation. And
Yeah,
what comes
fantastic.
up is, my headline and my bio. Now, to answer your question
Yeah.
around what's the middle ground, my argument is use that real estate to the absolute max as far as I'm concerned. I think there's 3,000
Yeah.
characters that you can use in your about me section. It's
Yeah.
real estate that you don't know if people are reading it or not. I would much prefer to have used that space as best as I possibly can in the off chance that people are reading it so that if they do, they get the best possible outcome.
Yeah.
The fact that it's rankable on Google just makes it even more important. So my advice is take full advantage of that real estate.
Yeah, that's huge. Because a lot of the time, especially I suppose if we talk about the different roles that are now using LinkedIn or the different stages of users. So we've got people looking for a job that may be new to the corporate world, just stepped out of uni. There may be people that looking for a new job to move across industry. And there may be executives that are looking to switch between organizations and so on. So, I suppose everyone will be able to Google and to find out what's on your LinkedIn profile. So, back to your advice, use it wisely. Let's go back to the tool, MySocial.ai, and unpack a little bit how we can help all these different roles find a better position on LinkedIn. So, for example, if you are newbie, just out of uni, you don't know what to post, you don't know who your network is, who your audience is. What do? I know you've got some ideas on that topic and you've got a lecture on that. So if you can dive a little bit deeper.
Yeah. So I lecture at the University of Macquarie and UTS, both in Sydney. And my most popular lecture is how to become more employable on LinkedIn.
Yeah, fantastic.
And what it is that I talk about in that session is I talk about the role of social media and in the employment space. Recruiters are one of, if not the number one source of people that are going on to LinkedIn as they try to connect candidates to clients.
Yeah.
Right. And so not saying that you have to go through a recruiter. If you can build the connections with the employer directly, then be it. But recruiters have their place. And they are generally having those, conversations day in, day out. Right. So my advice to students is do the trust basics, the things that we spoke about, the profile, the headline, the bio, the this, the that. And that's generally a one-off thing, maybe tweak it as you go through the motions and keep it up to date, keep it refined, because in that instance, it is your online resume, right? If that's all you're going to use it for. I would encourage you to do so because recruiters are looking at LinkedIn profiles, right? Before they've spoken to you to actually receive your CV. So they are sourcing, they are looking, building a talent pool, as are hiring managers. So my encouragement is there to do so. But then it's a case of standing out. So I can tell you that as a 4-time business owner, having owned my own digital marketing agency, I barely read CVs. I looked at their LinkedIn profiles.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a bit biased because my agency was a LinkedIn content marketing partner, and we did a lot of work with LinkedIn. But I would argue that with the way that the digital natives are more and more becoming senior people of decision makers, more and more people are, looking at LinkedIn to make their decisions. Now, if you versus someone else look exactly the same on paper, whether I receive your CV or your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Right. You look exactly the same. You went to the same university, or you got the same grades, or you have the same experience, or whatever those things look like. You look exactly the same on paper. But one of you is creating content on a consistent basis and making an effort to have conversations in market.
Yeah.
Who's going to get the interview first and foremost, and who's going to get the job?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Great point.
I'm always met with, yeah, but I don't have anything to say. I don't have any content. And I say, you're mad, aren't you?
Yeah.
You have so much to say, because what you do as a student is you create content. You are forced to create content through a grade system. You are writing dissertations. You are creating hypotheses. You are doing your coursework and your homework.
Yes.
You are writing to a brief. That brief being what it is that your teachers want you to write about. So my suggestion is take your best piece of work, host it on a landing page somewhere, cut it up into, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 individual bits of content, social media posts, and drive each post to that landing page.
Yeah.
Whilst at the same time building your network on LinkedIn. I guarantee you will not regret it. You will not regret it. And you should be doing that all the way throughout your life.
I was going to say, it's actually one of those things that you can apply to any stage, whether you're a student and you're creating your thesis, or you're creating coursework, or you're having interesting conversation with your lecturers about stuff, or whether you're an employee that's looking to move into a different industry or to a different organization. You create all of these interesting points of content on daily basis. Now, whether you recognize it as a content or not, I think it probably takes a little bit of getting used to, and a bit of making sure you do it daily as a habit, or weekly you review what you've done and you kind of go, oh, this is pretty interesting, I can post that. And of course, don't post any confidential information about projects or about organizations, but you can go, what is the relevant discussion that we're having now in marketing, or what is the relevant discussion that we're having in business transformation? I wonder if other people are having these discussions. So yeah, and similar, if you're I suppose a high-level executive looking to create a network and a following, even more so, the conversations that you have, even more relevant, I suppose, for sharing. Again, not sharing any confidential information, but sharing what you do, sharing your thought process, sharing, yeah,
and doing
exactly.
it, right?
That speaks exactly to the 3 pillars. You're being authentic by sharing exactly what you're going through. You are consistent because you're sharing it on a weekly basis or on whatever basis, the cadence that you choose that is relevant to your audience. And, it's relevant to your audience. Yeah, fantastic. We have another question. Let me just, sorry, there's actually a few questions that have come through. Let me quickly go through the first one. From Dimiti, is it safe to use the tool to let recruiters know that you're open to opportunities without current employer knowing? Is this something that you can advise on, Vinny?
I mean, as far as I'm aware, if you switch that option on, I think there's a pop-up that says we won't let your employer know. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
You can
Fantastic.
do
So
it.
maybe
You can do
Dimiti,
it
you can.
confidentially. You can do it confidentially. Yeah, it lets recruiters and relevant job hirers see that you're
Yeah.
open, but it's not public on your profile, I
Yeah.
believe. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose the other side of it is that if you engage with the recruiters community, you can be having chats with the recruiters without your employer knowing,
Mm.
within private messaging or any of those mediums.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Now, I know that this is a little bit controversial because everyone wants to know about the algorithm. And we may not have those answers, but let's give it a go. What hidden gems lie within LinkedIn's algorithm that can help us skyrocket our visibility and engagement?
Mahmood, we can have, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, we can have an unofficial conversation about what it is that I understand. But for the purposes of this, consistency is key. So if you want visibility, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think going back to the 3 pillars, I think, if you post consistently with relevance and authentically,
Yeah.
you would engage the community that you want to engage. And therefore,
The other great way is I alluded to it earlier, which was commenting on other people's content and leaving thoughtful commentary, because you will not only get the attention from the author of that post, but also their audience. LinkedIn rewards organic conversation. So, they're trying to, from my understanding, they're trying to stamp out any kind of, fluff effectively and just, hey, congrats and hey, good news. And, they want thoughtful commentary. So that's a couple of surefire ways. They're not quick fixes.
I think I was thinking about this yesterday, actually, in preparation for our conversation. And I was thinking, most of us expect immediate results, right? Oh, I started posting consistently, with relevance and authentically, and I've been doing it for the last 2 weeks, and I don't see any of the results, and it made me think it's a bit like dieting, right?
Yeah.
You start a new diet, you go, I'm going to eat all the salads in the world or whatever, I'll be drinking all of the protein shakes and doing all the soups and stuff, and you don't see any results, I guess, for the first few weeks, and you get a little bit discouraged. This is really building something for the long run, right, Vinny? It's
100%. I said it at the beginning, long-term growth mindset. Don't arrive on LinkedIn and think that, depending on what your objective is, if you're trying to sell on LinkedIn, it can be done. You can sell on LinkedIn. It can be done, but you have to build that reputation. You have to build that community. You have to, have thoughtful and engaging conversations with people that make sense. Right.
Yeah.
It's a connector platform. It's in the name. You are linked in people, right? From a professional capacity. The analogy that I'd put, just to sort of further your one, is that building your authority by posting content is like going to the gym. Engaging with other people's content is like your diet. And so having the two work in unison, you're going to have a six pack in 8 months, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? 6 months, 12 months, whatever it might be, right? But you've got to put in the work. If you go to the gym for 2 weeks, and that's all you do, and then you give up, well, you might have some DOMs, you might have some sore arms for a little bit, but you're not building any muscle, right?
Yeah.
And so it is a long-term game. It's got to be part of your thinking, it's got to be part of your life. It's got to be part of your life. If what you want to do is succeed on LinkedIn, whatever that objective might be.
Yeah. Or build that community of, like-minded individuals or like-minded peers within the professional setting. I think you kind of have to do it with a longer objective in mind. This is not like, oh, I'm going to do it for 2 weeks. I'm going to do it for 4 weeks. And I'm going to post all of the articles that I can find about AI. It's not going to happen.
So something on that point as well is that I speak to a subset of people that have said, "Oh, I only post on LinkedIn when I'm looking for a job."
Right.
And I go, "Well, okay, that's fine, but what happens when you get the job?
Yeah.
What happens when you get the next job and then you're then looking for work again?
Yeah.
Why not think about continuously trying to build your network to create that safety net so that when shit does hit the fan, that you're able to pick up a conversation." Yeah. Again, sorry, it's only 9:46 and I'm still swearing. When the poo hits the fan, again, if it does, right?
Yeah.
You've got a consistent stream of conversations to pick up from.
Yeah.
Look, maybe it's just me, but I certainly have noticed and witnessed and can attest to the power of consistently addressing and engaging with my network, growing, addressing and engaging with my network.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. You get more inbound opportunities, more opportunities to speak at events. I mean, I was asked by the University of Sydney to sit on a judging panel off the back of my content,
fantastic.
right?
Yeah.
Just recently, I was asked to come on this show,
Yes.
right? Because of what it is that I'm doing. I'm just posting 3 times a week, and I use a very simple framework. I follow a 3L framework, and they are the emotions that I want my audience to feel when I share each post. Every Monday, I want my audience to laugh, so I share that funny meme.
Yeah, lovely.
Every Wednesday, I want my audience to learn, so I make sure that I have a conversation with someone in my network, and I put a spotlight on them every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And by tagging them and having them engage with the post, not only am I addressing my audience, but I'm opening up doors to their audience. But I'm sharing what it is that I learn. I'm not selling anything, but I'm putting what I find important out there to my network. And then on Fridays, I want my audience to listen at the end of the week. Just as they're going to the pub, I want them to listen. And it's on Fridays where I talk about MySocial, but I talk about deep subject matter expertise in social selling and what it is that you can achieve through this method. And hey, by the way, if you want a tool that can help you get over that hump of just getting going, we've got one for less than $20 a month. MySocial.ai. Go get a license, right?
Yeah.
And then every now and then I'll throw in a love post, right? It might be Mother's Day, Father's Day, it might be my partner's birthday, right? So 3L, 4L framework. It's very simple and it's authentic, it's relevant, and it's consistent.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's good to have a framework that you can have a clear objective around, and especially like you've mapped it by the day. on the Monday you find something funny, on the Wednesday you find something that they can
Listen,
learn from, whether it's an
learn. Yeah.
informative article, or whether it's some sort of white paper, some new product that you come across. And then on the Friday they need to hear you and it's some content that is actually relevant and useful for them to know what you can do, what your product can do. It ties in quite nicely with our next question, which is it's from Leon. It's about what other content formats, articles, polls, videos, or stories are highly effective. Now, I know when it comes to MySocial.ai, because I've been using it for the last week, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. And it works primarily with posts when it comes to getting content from
Curated
sources,
content.
and posting it linked to an interesting article or some sort of an interesting media format. Can you give us a little bit more into other content formats, how MySocial.ai can help with that, and what are the sort of the hurdles that we can easily overcome?
Yeah, I'm hearing that videos are being actually underutilized at the moment. Carousels or PDF documents, the slider ones, they're being, as far as I can see, wildly overused. But they're a great way to get a longer content piece and message across in a nice compact experience. But what other content formats are underutilized but highly effective in driving meaningful engagement? My understanding is that LinkedIn wants to push the newsletters, but I have no evidence to back that up. As far as I'm concerned, I keep it really simple: image text. Image text. If you think about, first and foremost, people want a story. People want a beginning, middle, and an end. People didn't read boring your parents didn't read press releases to you as a kid to go to sleep. They read you a bedtime story. So people want a story. Can you tell a story in whatever format you use? The format itself, I think, is ultimately irrelevant when it comes down to it, because LinkedIn will push engagement on certain formats that they want to test, or that they want you to use more of, or that they think that are on the platform to even it out. At the end of the day, if you don't think like that and just want to create content, do it consistently. Do it consistently. Try what works for your audience. Try to see what engagement works for your audience. What format works best for the message that you're trying to get across. If it's video, then that's great. If it's memes, then that's great. If it's GIFs, then that's great, right? But one thing I can tell you is that at the end of, so this is backed up by stats, is at the end of last year, end of 2022, quarter 4, 2022, the most powerful performing type of post were emotion posts, emotive posts.
There we go.
And right at the bottom were product vlogs, product and service vlogs. So the most engaged with content were emotional stories. That's not to say that I'm encouraging everyone to go out there and start, telling us what they had for dinner that night, because no one cares, right? But what I am suggesting is that if you can bring an emotional side, and David Fedorchuk said, emotion in, emotion out. Right? If you can bring an emotional side of your professional self to the platform, do you know what? If you do that consistently, that's hitting on the authenticity piece. And if you're authentic, you have cut through. Because your life is unique to you.
Yeah, got it. I'm keen to dive a little bit into the AI angle here. Are you
Mhm.
willing to dive deep with me?
How long do we have?
Um, we have a few more minutes. We have probably about 2 more minutes before we close off. But, talking about MySocial.ai, there's an AI component. And I suppose people want to know, how does this make my life easier? How does
Yep.
it make me come across more consistent and relevant?
Yep.
Um, and how does it take the burdensome of my daily posting or my weekly posting? Tell
Yep.
us a little bit about that, and how the tool can make it easier for people that we've got on dialed in, and for people that will be listening to that broadcast.
Sure. Where I'll start is that I believe it was the Gartner AI Hype Cycle report that was released early this month, last month. And it said that we are about to approach the dip in the AI hype cycle, and that it would
Right.
plateau for the next 2 to 3 years until actual products are made to take this amazing technology and apply practical use cases for that type of technology
Yeah.
in the next 2 to 3 years. What I'm super excited about, and we launched as soon as ChatGPT came onto the market, because our AI copywriter is powered by OpenAI, the same thing that powers ChatGPT, GPT
Yeah.
3.5 Turbo. That's the component that we use from an AI perspective in our tool. But we have arrived, according to the report, 2 to 3 years early to the market with regards to having a
Fantastic.
practical use case product that you can take this amazing technology with best practice content marketing, best practice professional branding capabilities, all under one roof.
Yeah.
Curated, created, and scheduled content specifically for your personal LinkedIn profile, whether you're an
Yeah.
individual or part of a team, for less than $20 a month. That is the ultimate elevator pitch, right? How
It's
we
great.
use AI within that, few
Yeah.
components. The core component is that when you have either curated or created a post using an external link, or wanting to write something about your subject matter expertise,
Yeah.
you can use the copywriter to get you started. Back to the 4 things why people don't post on LinkedIn. I don't know what to say, when to say it, how to say it, why, right?
Yeah.
So with the AI copywriter, we're not advocating for you to just copy and paste anything in there. Be the same as if you did it before AI existed, or
Yeah.
to the
Right.
public, right? Going onto Google and plagiarizing yourself, right?
Yeah.
Instead, use it as a starting point
Yeah.
and make it your own. Now, once you've got a starting point and you approve the copy within MySocial, what then happens is that MySocial goes, okay, user likes the way that they have posted this piece of content.
Yeah.
But the second component is that it understands, are your audience engaging with it?
Right.
So if your audience engages with it, based on that ranking, based on how you've approved the copy,
Yeah.
those 2 things get pulled together, plus the category that you choose the content in. So category, copy, engagement brings together, and over time creates that feedback loop and learns what works for you
Fantastic.
and what works
Yeah.
for your audience.
Yeah.
So it starts to suggest and
Yeah.
feedback in what works for you. I would argue that that's more machine learning.
I think the label to me doesn't necessarily matter whether it's called AI, machine learning, intelligent assistant, whatever you would like to label it as. But
Yeah.
the value in it is that it understands what works best with your audience, which, of course, sometimes you can get that from the engagement that you get with LinkedIn posts and stories and newsletters and so on. But having it summarized on a page, understanding what times work best for you to post, what days, I think that's gold.
and it's
gold.
connected to your personal LinkedIn profile, right? So it's
Right.
all connected. So you don't have to go
Yeah.
copy paste. You
Yeah.
can stay within the environment. So it's all there. Your
Yeah.
content is
Fantastic.
your curated content, which is relevant to you and your audience, is updated
Fantastic.
every 10 minutes. Your
Yeah.
tone of voice and the engagement from your audience is being taken, is being accounted for, and is
Yeah.
creating that feedback loop.
Yeah.
And then it's telling you the best time to post based on when your first degree audience is
Yeah.
most is engaging with your content on an ongoing basis. So it can optimize when the best time for you to post in front of your first degree audience is,
Yeah.
right? So it's all
That's
of those
gold.
bits and pieces together which
Yeah.
ultimately make up MySocial. So
Yeah.
AI is really only a small component.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, we're at the top of the hour, so I have to
You were worried that we wouldn't have enough to talk about, Christina.
really have to give people some of their time back.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vinnie. This has been a hugely interesting and informative conversation. I think MySocial.ai is a great tool that
Thank you.
allows people to take some of the time back, but gives them really good nuggets of content, really good idea generation for posting content, and for coming up as a someone who's influential, someone who knows what they're talking about, which is what we're all looking for on LinkedIn. Now, just before we close off, can you please give people some ideas of how to connect with you? Where can they find you? Where can they find MySocial.ai?
Sure. MySocial.ai. Go to MySocial.ai. To find
Fantastic.
next with me, Vinnie Romano. I'm there with a
On
can
LinkedIn.
we share it? Can we share a URL in the comments?
We can do.
Just
Yeah.
just to my profile.
Let me quickly grab that while you're talking. What about any upcoming lectures or talks that you might have?
Yes. Follow me, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm joining an existing course. If anyone's a startup founder out there, or if anyone is looking to just generally learn more about LinkedIn on a 4-week course, it's $50 a week for 4 weeks. I'm joining as one of the coaches. It's called the Guild of Entrepreneurs. I'm going to ask if other people can come along. But effectively, we're starting a new cohort in the coming months, and you get a free license to MySocial, but you get the coaching on top of that as part of the price.
Fantastic.
So that can be something that if you reach out to me, we can get you some more information.
Fantastic. And the link to your LinkedIn profile is just below, so hopefully people can find you. Thanks again so much to all of those that joined us live. I know there's a couple of questions that we didn't have time to answer, but Vinnie and I will go through that and answer those in the comments below. And if you're watching this as a replay and you guys come up with any questions or any considerations, please feel free to add me and Vinnie and post a comment down below. Thank you again so much, everyone. Take care. Have a good day.